So here is the both front and back pattern. It has been placed on the fabric. This is the front and this is the back. So the next thing is to cut it out, so then I'll show you the outcome. Like I rightly said earlier, we've uploaded previously the comprehensive tutorial on how to draw pencil skirt. Check our link below in our description. It will really educate and enlighten you the more. So after sewing the skirt and the top, here is the front look of the dress. It's looking gorgeous and nice. Even as a beginner, if you follow the tutorial, you will understand and you'll be able to sew it exactly the way I did. So here is the back view. Now we are done with the upper part of the dress. So the next thing is to explain how to do the skirt, and as you can see, it is pencil skirt. So I'll quickly draft the pattern now so that you can easily understand the complete style. So I'm going to start with the top line. That is my starting point. Here is going to be the center front of the skirt. So my measurement will be from this side inward. So at the upper edge here, I will first of all apply the waist measurement. The waist I'm working with is 33.5 divided by 4 is to give us 8.375. I will mark the 8.375, then plus 2.5 inches allowance. That is for the waist. So to get a hip line from the top line at the waist here, I will move down by 9.5 inches. For those of us who really want to know how to properly draft the skirt, we have previously done that in a previous video, so I will drop the link so that it will be easier for you to understand better. So the hip I'm working with, the measurement is 40.5 divided by 4 is to give us 10.12. So I will apply my 10.12, then plus 2.5 inches allowance. The 2.5 is for that and the sewing allowance. So I will connect the hip to waist. So now the next thing is to measure the skirt length, and the skirt length is 39. the skirt length is 39. I've marked that. So whatever measurement with the allowance I measure at the waist, I will transfer it down to the end of the skirt length. So I will connect it. So that is exactly what I'm doing now. I will connect the line together. So now the shape of the hip now is what I have at the down part here, but the skirt needs to be penciled. So I will use 1.5 to pencil it. So I will move in by 1.5. Then at the hip here, I will also move down by 2 inches to enhance the shaping of the skirt. So from the 2 inches I move down, I will connect it to the 1.5 so that I can get perfect pencil shaped skirt. Now I'm done with that. So the next thing is to insert that, and to insert that, what I'm going to use is the bust span. Bust span divided by 2. The bust span I'm working with is 8 inches. Divided by 2, it will give us 4. So on the waistline, I will measure the 4 inward from the center, 4 inches inward. Then on the waistline too, I will measure same. But since the skirt is not going to be piecey skirt, so I will just move down from the waist by just 4.5 to create the waist dart on the skirt. So having done that, on the waistline, which is the top line now, I will measure ½ inch on both sides of the dart line which I created. Then I will flow it with the 4 inches or 4.5 inches I measure downward to form our dart, which I have done. So the next thing is to shape the skirt at the waist. Since we know that the shape of the front of a female is different from that of the back, so at the center on the waistline we need to move downward like ½ inch. So I will connect it to the waistline so that the center will be a little bit descend than the back. So having done that, the next thing is to cut it out and to use the same pattern to cut out our back pattern. So here is the shape of our pencil long skirt. So the next thing is to use the front pattern to cut out the back of the skirt. So all I need to do is to repeat the front at the back. So the difference between the front and the back is just 2 things. Number 1 is the zip allowance. So the zip allowance I'm going to insert is 1.5. It depends on the availability of your material, but as for this project I'm going to insert 1.5 zip allowance. So I'm marking that now. Then I'll connect it from up downward. That is the zip allowance. So this is the zip allowance. So now the same shape I cut at the front, I will cut same at the back, but the difference is that I will not descend the waist like I did at the front, but the shape at the side is going to be the same shape at the back of the front, especially the side of the skirt. They are going to be the same shape. So this is the back. This is the back pattern, and here is the front of our pencil skirt. So also we need to insert the dart. That is the bust span divided by 2, and the bust span is 8 divided by 2 to give us 4, and I measure the 4 from center of the back inward. Then on the points I measure half on both sides to achieve our dart. So I'm connecting that now, so that the skirt will be well shaped. So here is the pattern. This is the front, this is the back. So now I will place it on the material, then we'll cut it out. You will see. So to get our bust points, I'm from the shoulder downward, I'm going to measure 10.5. Then I will rule it out. That is our bust point. Then the next thing is to shape the armhole. So from this point I will measure 2.5 upward. Then shape it to meet the shoulder slant. So the next thing is the neck. I will measure 3 by 4.5. So if you notice, the wideness of the neck here is wider than the length of the neck here. Then here I will measure 4 inches. So 4 inches to meet the 3 inches I measured. Then the shoulder slant. So the next thing is to do the dart, and to get our dart I'm going to make use of the bust span. The bust span I'm working with is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. I will measure the 4 on the hip line, on the waistline, and on the bust point. So on the waist, I will measure half this way and half this way. Then here I will move up by 2 inches, connect the lines together. All this is to form our waist dart. So that's our waist dart. So we need to shape the down part of the blouse. So to do that, I will get the middle of the blouse. The middle is somewhere here. Then here I will move up by 1 inch, then connect so that the edge will not be too sharp. So having done that, we need to cut out. So I've eliminated the waist dart. So the next thing to do now is to shape it in form of princess dart. So from the 2.5 inches I measure upward, I will bring it down to the bust point. I will connect it this way. So this is the center front, and this is going to be our side front. Good day viewers, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Rachel. Today I'm going to teach you how to make this lovely blouse. Tools I'm working with are my marker, ruler, scissors, measurement tape, and my French curve ruler. The measurement I'm working with: the bust is 38, waist is 33, hip is 39, the back shoulder is 14, the blouse length is 25, bust point 10, half length or full front length is 16, round sleeve is 13. To get started, I will first of all do the basic body pattern, but for comprehensive class I will drop the link of how we really dealt with the pattern of basic body. But now I need to do it all over again, but it won't be as comprehensive as the previous video on the basic bodies. This is going to be the center front, this is my starting point line or the top line, and this side is going to be our side front. The first thing I will do is to apply the back shoulder. Though I'm dealing with the front, but the back is a little bit wider than the front. So the back I'm working with is 14. 14 divided by 2, it will give us 7. I will mark the 7. The armhole I'm working with is 8.3. I will mark 9.3, and 1 inch will be for my shoulder slope. I will reconfirm the back shoulder over there, then join up the marking point. Then over here where the armhole line ends, I will place the bust measurement. The bust I'm working with is 38. 38 divided by 4 will give us 9.5. I will measure 9.5 plus 2.5 inches allowance. The 2.5 will take care of the dart and the sewing allowance. So the next thing is to measure the half length. The half length I'm working with is 16. Here is 16. I'll mark 16.5 because of the joining at the shoulder. Then another line that is very important is the blouse length. I will, from the top line downward, the blouse length is 25. So now we have gotten our line horizontally. This is the waist, and this is going to start to take care of the hip line. So I've placed the bust measurement. Now the waist I'm working with is 33. 33 divided by 4, it will give us 8.25. I will mark the 8.25 plus 2.5 inches allowance. The hip is 39. 39 divided by 4, it will give us 9.75. 9.75. I will mark it. Then 2.5 inches allowance. I will connect those lines together, hip to waist and waist to the bust. So the next thing to do now is to get the bust point. The bust point I'm working. So the next thing is to use the front pattern to cut out the back. So what I have just done is I placed another pattern paper, then repeat the front pattern which I've drafted on it. So it is the front that we use to draft the back. But the first thing I will do is to deal with the center back first. So I will use the center front to cut out the center back. So but before I do that, I would like to call our attention to the style again. If you look at the style, the back is longer than the front. So the thing I will now do is to create the excess on the back pattern, and to do that, this is the center front. What's the problem? So from the center front, I will measure backward like 7 inches. Then at the down part here, I make provision for like 5 inches that it will be used longer than the front. So at the side, I measure 7 inches. The down part, I measure 5 inches. So there should be zip allowance which I'm creating now. The zip allowance I'm using is 1.5. Zip allowance 1.5. I will connect the lines together. So that is the zip allowance. Now the next thing I will do is to retrace the front pattern on the back. So now the back of the blouse is higher, so here I will just move down like 1 inch. 1 inch. Then the excess now that I make provision for, just watch what I'm doing. So at the corner here where the 5 inches end, I will connect it to the side here. I will connect it this way. So our waistline, I need to transfer all the lines. You need to transfer all the lines, like the waistline, the bust point line at the front to the back. So this is our center back. This is the zip allowance. So this line is the waist, is the bust point line, sorry, bust point line, and this is the waistline, and this is our hip line. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to shape it at the waist here. This line at the waist, I will slantly move in between the bust point and the waist. I will move in that out. So I will connect to the half, then from there bring it down to the waistline and connect it to the down where the 5 inches ends. I will connect it. So at the middle here, I need to make provision for little excess, because if you look at the style, it's like flare, in form of flare. If you look at the style, it's in form of flare. It has excess. So over here, I will make the provision. So how do I do that? At the edge here, I will move out like 1.5 inches. So I will connect it from the waist down to the 1.5 inches. So I will extend this cuff to the 1.5 inches that way. So we are gradually achieving our height. So the next thing is to cut it out. very easy to do. All you need is to practice. Even as a beginner, if you follow the process, you will easily get it. Now we are done with the center front. Now we'll move back to the side back, but I will use the side front to achieve the side back. So the next thing I will do is to create the excess, which I did to the center back, 1.5. The 1.5 I marked to the waist. And I'll follow the same shape. So the next thing is to cut. So let me remove the front that I used to achieve the back. So this is our side back. So this is our center back, the side back. So the next thing is to perfect the front pattern. So the next thing to do now is to perfect the shape of the front. I need to make provision for the cup, the bust cup, and to do that I will need to measure the under bust length, and the under bust length I'm working with is 13. So I need to mark that on the line. So this is under bust. Now this is our bust point. So now I will first of all deal with the side front. So at the side front, on the bust point, this is the bust point line. I will extend the line outward. I attach extra paper to achieve the cup. So I will use the side front, the line I made on the side front. I will extend it on the extra paper. So here I will move out by 1.5. Then I will measure the distance between the under bust and the bust point. I will extend it upward. I will mark or rule it out. So now on the bust point, I move out by 1.5. It depends on the size of the bust. If it is bust that is above 40, I can move out by 1.78. But as for this project, I'm making use of 1.5, which is bust 38. So on the under bust here, I will connect it Then from here I'll connect it too. It is easy. All you need is to practice it. I'll connect it. So for perfect shaping, so here I need to remove cut part of this. Then you add little excess here. So that is the cup that I've made provision for. So at the down part here too, I will add half to it, then I connect it to the waist. So here is the center front and the center back. I've added half to it and shape it to the waist. Likewise the side front, I've added half and shape it to the waist. So the next thing we're going to do now is to place it on our fabric and cut it out.
Mommy, this is it.
This is the back of the style. If you notice, the style has bias from top downward, and these lines that will show the bias, we have marked it out. Then we are going to follow the line that we marked out by sewing the bias on top. The traces of chalk that you see from up downward are the lines we made on the material, so that it will be easier for us to sew the bias on them. So here is the fixing of the bias on the fabric. is opening up of the bias for the collar fixing. So this is the back side. We have joined the main body to the lining. We have joined it at the shoulder. Front. It has also been joined with the lining. So the next thing, now we are on the fixing of the sleeve. If you notice this part that I'm touching, you discover there is a little bit puff, which I want to emphasize on. So you sew that part in form of gathers so that you'll be able to gather it. apply the measurement on blouse. We have marked it already. To start the sewing of the dress, the dart that we initially opened, so we need to hold it. Then we sew. That's the second bit at the front. I'm going to cut out the neck. So from the center of the neck, I will connect to the bust point this way. It depends on how many pleatings or openings you want at the front. But as for this, I'm making 4. This is 2 and the other side is going to be repeated. So what I will do is I will open up, then stop at the bust point. I will also open up the dart. Then I will close up the dart to enable the opening wide. So at the bust dart, I'm going to also open it up. So I have placed my pattern paper on the fabric. It is well arranged. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to cut it out. So I need to launch the area which I need to fold in, and I will mark the points. So here's the cutout. This is the arm, this is the neck, and those are the areas which I launch for my neck design. So I'm going to sew, then you see the outcome. So I have used the front pattern also to cut out the back of the dress. So all I did was to separate the princess cut from the center of the back, and I've used it to cut out this. So here is the down part of, so the waist is 33 divided by 4 to give us that. Then we'll move down the hip line is 9. So on the hip line I'm going to apply the hip measurement, which is 36 divided by 4. So I will cut it out. So I'm going to use the front to cut out the back. I've folded the back into 2. Then I'll place the front to cut it out. So the excess here is the zip allowance. So that's the back and the front. So I will launch the zip allowance, then open up the back. So this is the down part of the gown. This is the front, the upper part. Here is the back. And this is our sleeve. So the next thing is to sew. This is the finished product of her gown. It's nice, you can try it, easy to make. before we start the cutting of our dress, the first thing we need to do is to take the measurement of the blouse that we need to make. So the first thing I will do is to take the bust circumference. This is how to take the bust circumference. We ensure that the measurement tape is well placed at the back and at the front. And after doing that, we'll take the waist measurement. And how do I get the waist measurement? I'll trace the hollow of the back to the front. That is the waist measurement. Then the next thing is the hip circumference. The hip circumference. You take the exact body measurement by inserting one of the finger. After that, I will consider the bust point. The bust point is from the seat of the neck downward to the nipple. Then after the bust point, I will take the under bust. So the under bust is from the bust downward down to the bust, underneath the bust. That is the bust, under bust. Then from there I will take it to the waist. And some people call these half length or full front length. So this is the half length or the full front length. So from there I will also take the blouse length. If you notice, the blouse is high-low, the front part is at the normal level, while the back is deeper than the front. So I will measure where I want it at the front. Our blouse length is 25. Then later I will take the back blouse length. So after doing that, I will take the front shoulder, and this is how to take from the point at the shoulder here across the neck to the other side of the shoulder. So I will measure that. That is the front shoulder. And aside from that, I will take the back shoulder, and the back shoulder, it will be from the shoulder point across the neck down to the other side of the shoulder. That is the back shoulder. After that, I will consider the across back. Across back is 4 inches downward from the seat of the neck or shoulder. Then you slant the measurement this way. That is the across back. Also the across chest too, we need to consider that. And the across chest is 4 inches from the seat of the neck. Then you trace the tape rule this way. That is the across chest. Normally across chest is a little bit smaller in figure than the across back. Aside from that, to make that blouse, you need to consider your bust span. And bust span is the distance between the nipples. you need to consider that that is the distance between the one nipple to the other, and this is how to take that. We use bust span especially when we want to achieve our waist that. And apart from that, I need to now measure the length of the blouse at the back. To take the length of the blouse at the back, from the seat of the neck, take the rule across, down the back to the waist, down to the hip, below the hip. Then you will now determine how long you want the back to be longer than the front. Don't forget that the front is 25. Then for the back, it depends on you, but as for this project, I will make use of 28 inches. So that is that. The next thing is to measure the sleeve, and when you are measuring the sleeve, you consider the bicep or the round sleeve of your client, and this is how to take the round sleeve. Then if you notice the style is a 3/4 style, then you measure in between the arm, then at the edge where you want the sleeve length to end, you also measure that. Apart from that, you need to measure the sleeve length. The sleeve length I'm working with is 18, but to achieve that, you may slightly ask your client to place her hands at her waist so that you achieve the proper measurement. And to do that, you measure this way so that you achieve the accurate measurement. So that is that. So it is now time to go and cut. As to maintain the level of the normal cut at the back. So to do that, you need to measure the neck circumference, and this is how to measure the neck circumference. That is the neck circumference which you need to consider.